Stonehaven. The fisher folk were rather looked down on by the farmers, who thought them a lesser breed than themselves. The fishing villages had to perch as best they could, wherever there was a harbour of sorts, and they were more at the mercy of the weather than the farmers. This village of Crawton had 23 houses and 30 men working hand lines and creels on a dozen boats. Hardship struck them when the fish got scarce in 1880. To survive, some of them left the village to try and win a living elsewhere. The remainder clubbed together to buy a 42-foot boat and follow the herring shoals from Shetland to Yarmouth or wherever. The boat was too big for hauling ashore, so it had to be kept at Stonehaven. By 1927, there was nobody left in the village. The harbour wasn't convenient. Down there, the fish catches were gutted and salted by the wives. With creels in their back, they would walk inland a long way to sell fish at the farms. Some of the folk who left went into a new style of fishing, deep-sea trawling on steam drifters out of Aberdeen. Some came here to Gourdon, south down the coast, which at that time could lay claim to being the most prosperous handline fishing port in Scotland. A fisherman's wife at that time was expected to bait 1,200 hooks per day with mussels. The fishing grounds were mainly inshore, so the Crawton folk who settled must have thought they had come to a prosperous place. They even had the railway for getting easily to the outside world for shopping, and the fish could get quickly to market. That line has been long closed, like many another. When I was here a few days ago, I said I'd be back, so here I am to see what the boats have brought in. The score or so of Gourdon boats have all the modern aids. They fish about 10 miles out from the shore and come in for the afternoon sale. The buyers get down to filleting it the moment it comes into their sheds. I'm going in for a look. Aye. Hello.
Well.
I told you I'd be back. Now, you've got a good load of fish today.
Yes.
All haddocks?
All haddocks, yes.
I see a few others lying out there. What are they?
There's cod, sole, plaice.
Where will they all go?
Well, generally so locally, around the vans, around the villages and towns around the area.
Your vans?
Yes.
Oh, I see. So you're actually buying the fish, doing all the processing and getting the customers as well?
That's right.
And what kind of places do you go to?
Well, we go as far north as Inverurie and as far south as Perth.
110, 20, 30, 40, at 140, 140. Small soles, £7 big. Anybody else at £7 a small sole, 7.20, at 7.40, 7.60, 7.80, £8, at 8.20, 8.40, 8.60, 8.80, at £9 a small, 9.20, at 9.40, 9.60, 9.80, £10 a small, 10.50, 11, at 11.50, at 11.50 the small sole, £12, 12.50, 13, 13 the small, 13.50.
It's sad to think, though, that Gourdon, the once very prosperous fishing village, is declining the same way as Crawton did. Actually, when you come to think of it, it's logical to take an easier way of life if you can get it. And with a motor car, you can live here and work in other industries. The Gourdon folk are still very proud of their surf boat. It's got a record to be proud of, all right. 38 lives saved in 38 years. I bet there's a few exciting stories behind that lot. Just 4 miles down the coast from the headland of Dooley Ness that shelters Gourdon sits the village of Johnshaven, and there was a time when boats from the Baltic called in to buy their fish catches. The local boats went far afield too, after the herring shoals, and the village girls would follow the fleet to barrel the catch. You get the feeling it hasn't changed much since these busy fishing days as you come down the hill to the harbour. It would have been a lot busier though in the old days, since it was the centre of activity. But there was other work too along this road, a brewery, a flax mill and a jute mill. The harbour got a great reputation for safety. It was said to be the best on the east coast, from the Firth of Forth to Aberdeen. There's not many boats about now though. Cecil McBay was a fisherman. Did he get a reasonable living from it?
Oh yes, it was a good living, Tom. Yes, anybody that persevered, you know, they made a good living. There's always been quite a good living fishing.
And how big were the boats then that were operating, the kind you were operating yourself?
Well, the average boat, when I started to sea, was about 30 to 35 feet, Tom.
And how far out were you fishing in these boats?
Oh, well, you fished quite out near to the minefields during the war, you know. There was a minefield at 11 miles, I think it was.
We're 11 miles out.
But we fished to about 8, 9 miles, God knows, in the winter. And then in the summertime, of course, it was inshore fishing, you know, close in.
How many boats all told then were fishing at that time in the 1950s?
Oh, in the 50s, oh, they were dwindling away by that time. But in the 40s, there would have been about 20 to 25 full-time boats at that time.
Oh, Crawton.
Cecil McBay's nephew Richard, instead of being a fisherman like his father and uncle, is a boat